Young youth of Hindustan, you are welcome in the 92nd episode of Genetics, topic Genetic Engineering, organized by Society of Career Technology and Jan Vikas Mahasabha. As you know, genes are the bearer of hereditary characters. They are found in a linear sequence over the chromosomes, and chromosomes are found in the nucleus of a cell. A cell itself is very tiny structure, and genes are bearer of hereditary character. The sequence of nucleotides, 4 types of nucleotides in the genes, control synthesis of protein, which are made up of 20 types of amino acids in a definite sequence. Engineering, you know, manipulation of different parts of a machine to assemble them for a beneficial machine for humankind is called engineering. 50 years ago, it was considered next to possible that manipulation of genetic engineering genes can be possible. This manipulation of genes or genetic engineering became possible by discovery of 3 different discoveries, and an assembly of these 3 resulted into the science of genetic engineering. The 3 steps were isolation of gene, second plasmid and other vectors, and third a molecular seizure or molecular scalpel restriction endonuclease. Now let us see one by one all the 3 steps. Earlier, the central dogma concept was that flow of information always proceeds in forward direction from DNA to RNA and from RNA to proteins, and reverse of this is not possible. But in 1960, Beadle and Tatum discovered that genetic material in tobacco mosaic virus was not DNA but RNA, and it also contained an enzyme reverse transcriptase which could synthesize a DNA strand on a RNA template, and from this isolation of gene became possible. Let us see how. Let us see pancreas, present in between the duodenal coil of the intestine. It contains 4 types of cells: alpha cell, beta cell, delta cell and T cell. Beta cells are responsible for synthesis of insulin hormone, and 50 years ago, for the treatment of a diabetic patient, for obtaining insulin hormone, calves of cows were killed, and from them insulin hormone was isolated. But now it became possible that, in fact, gene itself from the nucleus, isolation of this gene was very difficult. Of course, later on it became possible. In the initial stage, inside nucleus we have 30,000 genes, and in the cytoplasm we have just 20-25 types of RNA, some mRNA, some tRNA, some ribosomal RNA. So from isolating one mRNA from the cytoplasm is comparatively easier in comparison to isolation of a gene from the nucleus, and this became possible by the discovery of reverse transcriptase enzyme. Now beta cells are cultured. There are chemicals, cobalt chloride and so one more. By one chemical, all the alpha cells are killed, only beta cells remain. There is another chemical by which beta cells are killed and only alpha cells remain. So by using such a chemical, beta cells were isolated and cultured, and from them, by using phenol at 66 degrees centigrade for 1 hour, and then for precipitating it for 72 hours at minus 40 degrees centigrade, the isolation of RNA from the cytoplasm became possible. And from this combination of all RNA, by using PACE, polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, or affinity chromatography, the particular mRNA which was responsible for insulin synthesis was isolated. Now there was a task of synthesizing DNA at the template of this mRNA. The DNA polymerase, RNA polymerase, and reverse transcriptase, they cannot start synthesis from the terminal end. So what happens? A primer is attached at the terminal end containing either polyadenine and polythymine, or maybe polyguanine and polycytosine. So this primer is attached with this mRNA and it is treated by reverse transcriptase. Then on this template of mRNA, a complementary sequence of DNA is synthesized and a hybrid DNA molecule is formed made up of one mRNA and one DNA. Now, by alkali treatment, this particular DNA is separated. Again, on this single strand DNA, we have to develop a double stranded DNA. So once again, a primer is attached at the terminal end, and then the DNA polymerase enzyme is used here, and a double helix of DNA is formed. But here, at the terminal end, a hook is formed. Both helices are connected with each other. Now, it is treated by S1 nuclease, so that this hook is cut and the required DNA is formed. So this was the technique of isolation of DNA for the first time, and in 1975, Genentech company of San Francisco used this technique. It patented the technique for the synthesis of genetic engineering. Later on in 1984, a group of Indian scientists also became successful in making a patent on genetic engineering. They took initial, not insulin but pro-insulin, and it was also successful experiment. So this one. Now second point was plasmid. Plasmid are extranuclear small DNA ring found in certain bacteria, for example in Escherichia coli. In Escherichia coli, there are two strains, plus strain and minus strain. And in both strains we have a main circular DNA, but along with that, in the plus strain we have a plasmid DNA. This plasmid DNA contains only 4-5 genes. One is for antibiotic resistance and other for the formation of conjugation tube. So what happens during sexual reproduction? In between the cell of a plus strain and minus strain, a conjugation tube is formed. And this plasmid DNA makes a copy of it. It travels through this conjugation tube, reaches into the cell of minus strain, and then it folds to form the plasmid DNA. Now this cell of minus strain is changed into a plus strain cell. There is one strain of Escherichia coli called HFR strain, or high frequency of recombination. In usual course, this plasmid DNA does not bind with this main circular DNA. But here in HFR strain, sometime it binds with it. For some generation, it go on dividing as such, making no harm to the cell. But after this, which is called lysogeny, and after few generations of lysogeny, this is again detached. And when it is detached, a part of this main circular DNA also comes with it and becomes a part of this plasmid DNA. Now in the next stage, whenever there will be a conjugation between this cell and a cell of negative strain, then this plasmid DNA will make a copy, and along with that, this part of DNA will also be copied. Earlier, as DNA of one organism cannot be transferred into another organism, another cell, because the DNase enzyme present in the recipient cell dissolve or hydrolyze the donor's DNA. But here, this part of DNA, when it becomes attached with this plasmid, it can be transferred to a recipient cell very comfortably without making any harm. So this was a very interesting discovery. This type of isolated DNA can be connected with this plasmid DNA. But how to connect it? It was the third stage by using a molecular seizure or molecular scalpel, the restriction endonuclease. Let us see how. Now, for breaking a DNA, three types of nuclease enzymes are used. One which cuts it from the terminal end, either this one or this one end, is called exonuclease. Another endonuclease which cuts it from the middle, and third one are restriction endonuclease which cut it from middle at certain specific location. In 1970, Smith and Nathans discovered that a restriction endonuclease was isolated from Escherichia coli, and it could cut the DNA at a particular sequence. The first one, EcoR1, restriction endonuclease, could cut it from the GATT sequence in between GA. And this type of sequence is here present here also in reverse order. So it is called palindromic sequence. So here also, after cutting this part, this enzyme cuts it from this part. So we get two pieces in this way, each piece containing a small unpaired piece. And these unpaired pieces are called sticky ends or staggered ends. So if we wish to connect a foreign DNA with this DNA, plasmid DNA or any other DNA, that foreign DNA is also cut from both sides by the same restriction endonuclease, and now this foreign DNA along with these two cut portions of the host DNA, they are combined by ligase enzyme. Now a DNA is formed, a combination of this DNA and this foreign DNA. It is called recombinant DNA. Now our target is over. By this technique we can connect it with plasmid vector, and after that it can be injected into Escherichia coli cell by treating at 40 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes with calcium chloride. Now the plasmid DNA and this one, the recombinant DNA, can penetrate into the host cell. Now that host cell, again it will multiply, and every time when it will multiply, that foreign DNA will also multiply, and it will be capable of synthesizing the insulin hormone. So this was the science of genetic engineering in brief, the basic fundamental, and regarding all these three steps in detail we will discuss later on. Now all over world many other drugs are being manufactured by this technique. For example, earlier growth hormone used for the growth of a man, if given to a child before puberty, for one child the required dose of pituitary growth hormone was obtained from cadaver of from 6 cadavers. It was very costly, or otherwise it was obtained from calves. Now growth hormone is also the gene has been isolated and attached with plasmid DNA, injected into Escherichia coli, and now that Escherichia coli is successful in synthesis of growth hormone also. So growth hormone is also available nowadays in all over world, made by genetic engineering technique. Then erythropoietin, a kidney hormone for synthesis of red blood cells, is also being manufactured by this genetic engineering technique. Then the vaccine for foot and mouth disease of cattle is also being manufactured by this technique. Factor 8 protein for the treatment of hemophilia is also being manufactured by genetic engineering. Plasminogen activator, a protein used for avoiding heart attack, is also being manufactured. And then many other drugs and vaccines are now being manufactured by this technique of genetic engineering. Thank you very much.